morning, and thank you for joining today's local business forum in conjunction with Fingal County Council. For those who may not know me, my name is Andrea Malloy, and I'm Fingal Chamber President. The Chamber seeks to champion, promote and drive a strong vision for a Fingal that is the best place for business in Ireland. We support businesses of all sizes, from local small companies to large multinational corporations. Fingal Chamber is the region's largest and most influential business organisation, and we can help you grow your business and expand your market. We represent your business interests and are the local voice, the voice of local and central government. Chamber membership enables you to build connections through networking and to promote and enhance your business profile in the region. We achieve results through collaboration and promote the successful Fingal Chamber SkillNet, where you can upskill your workforce through bespoke and subsidised training. Today, the Chamber is helping you to access information specific to you, the Blanchardstown, Mulhuddart and Castleknock areas, and engage in matters that can impact your business. The Local Area Business Forum today will give you business updates on the local authority's supports and plans for economic development, enterprise and tourism. If you're joining us as a guest today and not yet a Chamber member, you can find out more information on fingalchamber.ie or by contacting a member of our team to find out how membership can benefit your business specifically. I hope you find today's event useful, and on behalf of the Chamber and myself, I wish you and your business every success as we lay the foundations for 2022. We look forward to working with you and advancing business together. I would also like to take this opportunity to sincerely thank Fingal County Council Chief Executive AnnMarie Farrelly and Director of Economic Enterprise, Tourism and Cultural Development, Emer O'Gorman, for joining us today. So without delay, I'll hand you over to our host for our webinar today, Chief Executive of the Fingal Chamber, Anthony Cooney. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you very much. Welcome to everybody here today. We're going to start off with a presentation by Fingal County Council, and we're led here today, as Andrea said, by AnnMarie Farrelly, the Chief Executive, and Emer O'Gorman, who's the Director of Economic Enterprise, Tourism and Cultural Development at Fingal County Council. And they'll take it. We're not going to, without any further ado, we'll get into the presentation. I'll field some questions later. What I would say to anybody who feels like asking a question, please put those questions into the chat box, and we'll deal with them as and when they arise at the end. Thank you very much. AnnMarie.
Good morning, everybody. Very pleased to be here, and thanks to the Chamber for giving us the opportunity to present to you on behalf of Fingal County Council. I have a short presentation and I'll just share my slides now. So you just give me one moment. For some reason the slideshow is just refusing to work. There we go. So as I said, I just wanted to go through what Fingal has been doing in the last year and then looking forward into next year in terms of what our plans are. This time of year, we'd be well advanced in planning for 2022. And I suppose having learned from what has happened during the pandemic, we'll continue to improve what we do as we move forward. And unfortunately, I suppose we had hoped to be emerging at this stage from COVID. And let's see how the coming weeks go in relation to that. Started off, I suppose, very happy to have a strong budget passed by our council about a month ago or so. And it's no surprise, I suppose, that we would spend a lot of our budget on housing, as well as on the likes of active travel and operational spend, the work that we do on the ground in our main streets, on our beaches, in our open spaces, maintaining the area, I suppose. And we want to make sure that we can ensure that there's good quality of life in the county and that people enjoy living and working here. So we spend a lot of our budget making sure that the place of Fingal is a good place to live. We're also, I suppose, a significant economic entity in the county. And in addition to our revenue budget, we have a significant capital plan of 784 million for the next 3 years. You'll see some of our projects on the ground. The likes of the Snugborough interchange locally for you has been on site now for 6 months or so. We're basically improving that bridge over the motorway, making sure that there's walking and cycling routes across the bridge, but also room for public transport as well as the private vehicle. Obviously accessing the Dublin Enterprise Zone there, which is a really important economic space in Fingal. And you'll see if you're out and about locally that the economic activity there, the economic growth continues apace, even right through the pandemic, with many new logistic firms locating there, and also some data centres. As well as the recently completed pharma companies. So, you know, really good that the economy of Dublin 15 continues to thrive, and right along the M50 from Dublin 15 over to the airport area. And again, no surprise that our major spend in capital sense is housing and building. Our social housing construction programme is ramping up significantly in line with the new government plan Housing for All. And we're also fortunate, I suppose, that in excess of half our capital programme is funded from grants. And those grants come for the provision of social housing, for the provision of active travel measures. You'll see us on site delivering more walking and cycling routes right across the county, trying to make that choice easier for people, that they'll choose to walk and cycle to work and to school where they can. I suppose couldn't leave the day without just mentioning the rates waiver scheme, which has been a significant benefit to the county during COVID. During a very pressing time, it was really, I suppose, good to see the level of government support. And I think Fingal is probably, if not first, then second in terms of benefiting from the rates waiver scheme in the country. And you see the total value to date, 144 million. The most significant support at the beginning of the pandemic. But extended now to the end of the year, with being phased out for some sectors, but continuing for hospitality, leisure, aviation and tourism. And I know it's been an absolute need for your business to have these supports in order to navigate this pandemic. So in terms of next year, no firm news in relation to it yet, but I suppose it wouldn't surprise me if there's some further support extended into next year. I mentioned operations already, and I suppose it is our bread and butter. It's what we try to do to make sure that Fingal is a good place to live. Very important during the pandemic as more people are out in our public spaces, more people outside, even if they were outside your own business premises, enjoying what you have to offer, but also, I suppose, having the benefit of being outdoors during a pandemic. So we've tried to invest more on what was important, and some of the things that were important were the likes of litter bins, having more litter bins, having more staff ready to empty them, and then maintaining our parks and open spaces in pristine condition where we can, and making sure that they're enjoyable places for people. We've been operating at summer levels all year round, which is quite a transformation. It requires quite an amount of resource, but it's necessary as we have more people outdoors, and that's not going to change anytime soon. I won't go through all of this, but you can see the types of things we've been spending the additional operational budget on. I'm pleased to say that there's additional operational budget available to us in 2022 as well. That was a big demand by our councillors to make sure we continue the operational service and to make sure that we put the money where it's needed most, and Dublin 15, again, needing quite a lot of investment in terms of litter bins and that type of service, which we're going to roll out more of going into next year. Just to mention, obviously, the casual trading bylaws newly adopted by the council, a level of ad hoc activity happening in that area with new services opening all the time along our roads and in town centres. So conscious that we need to protect the businesses who are in fixed premises, we have introduced a level of regulation there where people will need to comply with the bylaws and use the designated spaces for that type of trading. And public bench is always very needed as people are out walking and giving opportunity to people to dwell in our areas as well, and hopefully to the benefit of businesses. The Fingal County Development Plan is well underway at the moment. It's the new plan from 2023 to 29. The draft plan goes to our councillors in the next week. And important that we plan to have zonings in the right places, zonings for economic development and zonings for housing in the right places in the county, so that we can benefit from any economic growth. And that economic growth won't happen unless we get a handle on housing supply. Again, we're trying to take a lead on that to make sure both private and public housing is delivered quickly. I've listed some of the projects we're involved in. The key projects for this area would be the Royal Canal Urban Greenway, the Snooker Interchange, which I mentioned already, the Churchfields Link Road, which is a new road linking Damastown Industrial Estate right out to Mulhuddart, an alternative route, I suppose, in that area. The N3 upgrade we're working on behalf of the NTA, moving that to a 3-lane road, and hopefully that will move along now at pace. Just to mention the Dunsink feasibility study, which you'll be aware of, and there'll be more information on that in the development plan when it's published. Again, recreation being such a key part of the county with the growing young population, we aim to have a recreational hub in all of our regional parks, and the key project in Dublin 15 will be the Blanchardstown athletic track and all-weather pitch, which should be getting on site in the coming weeks, or certainly early next year. So yeah, a lot going on. We currently consulting on the new community centre in Meekstown. Again, a significant project, long overdue, much needed for that area, which has had such a significant growth in population. And you can get more information on that on our website. I mentioned social housing delivery and the targets there, a doubling of output required from us in 2023 onwards. Most of the work we're doing now and into next year will be preparing for that to make sure that we have those units completed in 2023 and beyond. And you'll know some of the social housing developments in your own area, such as the new one there in Mulhuddart, which is near completion and should be tenanted in the coming month or so. New active travel measures, a key priority for government. We have set up an active travel department, and we're looking at more pedestrianisation, one-way systems in order to create space for people who are walking and cycling, and also new walking and cycling routes right along the county. You'll probably be familiar with the Huntstown Heartstown Cycleway, and there was a really nice event last Saturday night where families were out cycling on that in the dark. With a lot of Christmas lights on display, a really fun event on Saturday evening. Climate action, I suppose that just crosses over everything we do. It's a key theme of the development plan, but it's also why we're involved in active travel, why we're involved in some initiatives with business. And we ourselves as an organisation want to be the best we can be in relation to climate action. And we, working on energy efficiency, LED replacement in public lighting, which is a programme that's almost complete, but lots of work going on in that area. We're challenged with retaining staff, we're challenged with the age profile of our staff, and with many retirements, and we're challenged with skills, particularly some skills in the area of engineering, planning, architects, which we're finding difficult to compete with the private market for. So a lot of recruitment ongoing, rolling recruitment in real terms, with the intention of making sure we have, adequate skills to deliver that fairly ambitious work programme that we spoke about a little earlier. Just want to mention IT, and I suppose where would we be without it, despite sometimes it being a little challenging when it doesn't quite work at the beginning of a conference. But, we've been embraced it since June. We were fully equipped to work from home, and that's the level of activity that's happening in our organisation. And just to note, the public Wi-Fi now launched across 47 access points in the county in 18 locations, thanks to many businesses who helped us deliver that public Wi-Fi. And I think it's going to be of huge benefit to everyone, to the public, but also, to people who want to dwell in our public places and have the benefit of free Wi-Fi. We like to communicate externally constantly so that you know what we're doing. Some of the ways we do that are through our new podcast system. You know, our website is fairly modernized at this stage, and we keep it up to date at all times. And we try to use social media, you know, to the benefit of the county, so that you know exactly what's happening. You should always be able to hear about almost every project through all of those mediums. I'm not going to dwell any further in what we're doing, but we'll be here for the rest of the morning and happy to hear any questions or to answer any comments that you have. You know, obviously I've shared a lot of information with you there, but I hope it gives you a flavour of the level of activity in Fingal County Council. And I suppose everything we do in the council is for the benefit of the county. So where we see things to be done in the county, we try and come up with a way of delivering for the county. So thank you very much, and over to Anthony.
I think, Anthony, you're on mute there.
And we're at the end of 2021 and we're still at you're on mute. Sorry, apologies for that. Thank you very much, AnnMarie, for a very comprehensive presentation. And we'll go straight across. We'll get questions maybe at the end. We have one or two questions in the chat box, but we'll go straight to Emer. No, we've had a technical issue. We had a technical issue earlier on. I meant to say it at the start. Just apologise for the delayed start. With it was our link at our end for Emer, and we've struggled with it. And I see we've just lost her again at the appropriate time. So
happy to answer some questions now, Anthony, if that's helpful. And try and make contact with Emer. If she can't get through, I might do the presentation if that's okay when it comes through to me.
Yeah, there's just one question we had so far in relation to the Royal Canal Urban Greenway. AnnMarie, is there and that's the piece out at Castleknock as such. And so there's obviously an aspiration to finish that. That's going to roll on down into Kildare and so on. But when do we reckon, you know, do you have a closing date on that when it will be finished?
Yeah, so the Royal Canal Greenway has been going through a consultation phase, preferred route consultation, and then moving now towards a planning application next year. So that planning process would most likely take about 9 months after lodgement. So, you know, it's a couple of years away yet. There's many parts of it completed, of course, but the Fingal part, I suppose, will, you know, it's well underway. It's a little bit controversial. So, you know, we're working through some of those issues at the moment in terms of the actual preferred route. But ultimately, planning application next year, hopefully planning in place early 23, and then moving to get on site towards the end of 23, early 24.
Yeah, they're a wonderful amenity, the canals. You know, we're lucky, you know, to have so many of them around the country. And I think since certainly the start of the pandemic, sort of the active travel, I know Fingal, you've dedicated a very senior executive there at Fingal County Council to manage that part of your portfolio.
Yeah, so we have an active travel team, and then we also have a strategic infrastructure team. So the likes of the Royal Canal Greenway, because it's of such significance nationwide, that'll be a destination. You know, people will come even to Ireland in order to cross the country using it, you know. So it's planned on that basis. So we would class that as strategic infrastructure, key tourism project. And then more locally, as we're delivering greenways, we have an active travel section that's, you know, working hard to deliver those local improvements that help people walk and cycle.
Yeah. And one of you, just got on to a different subject completely, the provision of, you know, social affordable housing. Like Fingal would have, I think certainly in the recent years, been more or less leading the way in the provision of social affordable housing. And I see the plans are very aggressive for the next couple of years.
Yeah, well, I suppose Fingal's always been a place people want to live. You know, they love the towns and villages of the North County, so they houses have been built there when other places weren't delivering supply at all. So we've been to the fore, really, probably one of the key leader of delivery of housing generally for the last 5 years. Now, I suppose there's more of an attention to deliver more social housing as well, but also to encourage the private sector to continue their part in delivering housing. So we have always tried to activate land to make sure housing land was ready for housing delivery. So you'll see a lot of, like the likes of the Snugborough interchange will have an impact on housing supply as well, because it provides that accessibility into Dublin 15, which will then allow, you know, some of those housing sites to be activated. So you do need to keep an eye on your infrastructure requirements so that your housing land is ready for delivery. Yeah,
it's not just a case of building the houses, you need the infrastructure in prior, you know, water, wastewater, power and so on.
Indeed, and you know, that's you need to be looking 3-4 years ahead to be ready to deliver housing on that basis.
Yeah, okay, thanks, AnnMarie. Emer, we have you back here now, so we might actually take you back into the call if you want to go next to. I think we can hear you as well.
Yeah, hopefully you can hear me. Apologies, we're having major technical difficulties here in County Hall. I don't know what's going on. Our whole floor is knocked out, so I managed to find a dongle to connect. But anyway,
okay, well
done. Let's get going.
Improvisation.
That's it.
Okay, over to you.
And apologies to everybody for that technical glitch. Hopefully everything is okay and you can see my screen now. Again, for those that don't know me, I'm the Director of Economic Enterprise, Tourism and Culture Development. It's a big long brief. It goes from the very micro businesses to big FDI investment and everything in between, and then also looking at the curation of the county from a tourism and cultural development point of view. So a key role that we've had over the last 18 months and before has been supporting our businesses in Fingal. And we would always have had very intensive links and connections to the business community, but I suppose the pandemic really pushed us into a new direction where staff have had to change their modes of operation very quickly and adapt to new ways of working and rolling out new schemes to businesses that were much needed. AnnMarie has gone through the rates waiver, so I'm not going to touch that at all really, but my department is charged with pushing out the Restart Grant and the Restart Plus, which culminated in over 30 million being paid directly to businesses, some 2,143 businesses in Fingal in the last 12 months. And then another scheme was announced by central government, so the Small Business Assistance Grant Scheme, and that helped further 214 Fingal businesses. So those were businesses that wouldn't have had the benefit of the Restart Grant before. So these were all, the beauty of these schemes was that there were direct cash injections into businesses. There was no prescribed use for them. So you could use them to meet your payroll costs, you could use them to meet your electricity costs, whatever you thought was the most appropriate use for them. So I have to say I'm very proud of my own team here in Fingal in the speed and agility at which we were able to turn out these grants, and hopefully everybody on the call today was able to benefit in some shape or form from our supports from government. Another key area that we launched in the midst of the pandemic was our Fingal In It Together charter. Really, it's about businesses working together and helping each other. It's about recognising your neighbouring business on your main street, particularly when we were all getting used to queuing, outdoor dining, and so forth. You know, so if you had a coffee shop on the street and your neighbour was a pharmacist, if you signed up to our charter, we provide you with some such, and then just, I suppose, again, being mindful that the queue outside your coffee shop might impact on the person trying to access the pharmacy. So trying to stimulate those conversations between businesses to ensure that our towns and villages worked in the best way that they possibly could. So we've 253 businesses currently signed up on the charter. It really is a business-to-business piece. It's also about doing business with each other. We would have seen many examples of, particularly in the hospitality sector, where they would have sourced materials for screens, etc., from local businesses located in the Fingal area, which is really, really great, you know, because everybody has been struggling for the last coming on for 2 years now. So every support that could happen between businesses was very, very welcome. So building on that, last Christmas we ran a campaign, and we're running a similar campaign in 2021. Hopefully you will have seen at this stage some signage on the road, the approach roads into the county, on Shop Local and Shop Fingal, supporting local businesses for Christmas in particular. The whole sentiment of Shop Local has really resonated with our citizens. So as more people are working from home, our towns and villages have actually become far busier. People are spending time not just to go and get the cup of coffee, they might pop into the local shop or the local hardware store that they didn't realise was there. So last summer we produced a series of brochures for every town and village in the county, highlighting the businesses that were there, and they were distributed to all of the households in the county, so that if you lived in the Blanchardstown Castleknock area, you would have gotten a brochure through your door for booklet setting out the businesses that are located in that area. And so just to try and just reinforce that Shop Local message with the public. Last year we ran an online Christmas shop, and we're doing that again this year with the space for artists and producers to sell their products. We have, you may have noticed, I don't know if you love it or you hate it, some Christmas music in our towns and villages. So Blanchardstown will have Christmas music in it again. We've provided Christmas lighting in some key towns as well throughout the county. Christmas trees are delivered and put in place by our operations department. We are lighting up some key buildings as well with Christmas themed projections. We have Christmas markets throughout the county, and just to draw your attention to the Blanchardstown Christmas market that's happening this weekend. We're really, really delighted to be able to support this year. Our markets didn't happen last year, so we moved into a virtual space, but we've put additional measures in place this year to make them safe. So from a public confidence point of view, to keep our traders safe, so an awful lot of additional measures. And I suppose just to point out, because of the environment we're living in, everything we do in that public event space is costing us an awful lot more because of the COVID safety measures. But we're very happy to do it because we think it's a really, really important intervention, and bringing, I said, those local businesses direct into the local communities. We've embarked on online campaign through our social media. So if you follow Fingal County Council or Love Fingal Dublin or any of our other Twitter handles, you'll see a big push on the whole Shop Local for Christmas. We have some radio advertisement and newspaper spreads in the local papers, so the Fingal Independent and the Gazette. And as I mentioned, we have some outdoor advertising. We have some in Adshell, Dublin bus stop locations as well throughout the county. So building on, I suppose, our events piece, we also work very strongly in the tourism development area. AnnMarie would have alluded to encouraging active travel. We have obviously our coastal greenways and greenway development. The Royal Canal Greenway is, again, another essential piece which will drive footfall. We had in the last 12 months, the Salmon Way launched. Fingal were a partner to that. So if you walk along the canal, you'll see the bronze shoes in key locations. There's 3 locations in the Fingal area. And so that's a storytelling piece that goes from Strokestown all the way into the docks in Dublin City. So, it's really important for us to tell the story and the history and the heritage of our towns and villages. And the Dublin 15 area has quite a rich story behind it. Earlier on this year, we launched in conjunction with the Liffey Valley Tourism Group and the Liffey Valley Trail, again, a brochure highlighting what there is to see and do in the Dublin 15 area, particularly around the Liffey Valley. That was very much led by 2 local councillors, Councillor Howard Mahoney and Councillor Siobhan Shovlin, who worked with our tourism officer to develop that trail. It's available through our library branches. It's also available through the Blanchardstown Shopping Centre. And again, it's just, I suppose, helping people and our community to realise what's on their doorstep. I mean, AnnMarie would have spoken about how all of our parks are far busier than they've ever been. They were at summer capacity the whole time. But it's not just our parks that we want to activate. We want to show people Dunsink Observatory. We want to show them Shackleton Gardens, for example, that's now open to the public. We want to show them Shackleton Mills, even though it's not an attraction as yet. It's there and it's in the county, and it's a really important part of our industrial heritage. Obviously then we are charged with we have the custodianship of the Guinness Bridge, which crosses the Liffey, and we have a programme of works in place over the next 12 months, which will see the preservation of the bridge. It's a beautiful landmark, not entirely accessible, but we are charged with maintaining it and making sure that it doesn't fall into disrepair. And to go back to Shackleton's Mills, we have a commitment in our capital programme for conservation management plan to be put in place again, at worst, to preserve the heritage of that industrial building, really, really important mill in the industrial history of the country. So, as I said, we're charged with that. Some of you may have noticed and seen, we had the Enchanted Forest in Millennium Park running for the month of November. It was a kind of a pilot, again, championed by members of our Strategic Policy Committee, looking for lighting and new ways of activating our parks after hours. So it wasn't without its couple of hiccups, but it culminated in a really, really successful, lovely family event on Saturday evening, which was our Enchanted Cycle, where Santa and Mrs. Claus did a tour of our new cycleways, our protected cycleways in the Dublin 15 area in conjunction with our colleagues in Active Travel. Really lovely family event, very well attended, and we were very, very happy with how it went. So, I mean, by running these pilot events, it gives us, I suppose, the imprimatur to then go plan and program additional events. So we want to activate those spaces far more. We do an awful work with Fingal Chamber directly with the tourism and hospitality group that is in place in Fingal Chamber. We've worked very closely over the last, even before the pandemic, I suppose, over the last 2 years, looking at how we can bring more tourists into Fingal and into the Dublin 15 area. We are part of the Dublin brand. As you know, Dublin is made up of 4 local authorities, and there is an overall Fáilte Ireland brand for Dublin, which is Dublin Surprising by Nature. And we have nature in abundance. So what we try to promote is our golf clubs, our parklands, our heritage trails, our coastal walks, and wrap that all together. So we have very targeted advertising. We ran radio advertisements this year and last year. We would target the market in Northern Ireland specifically because there's an awful lot of footfall coming from that area. Again, I mentioned just as I said, the refurbishment of our heritage properties. We're delighted that Shackleton's Gardens has opened. Not a heritage property, but it speaks to the broader heritage of Shackleton in the county. We're involved in a major project, I suppose, the Swords Cultural Quarter in the county town of Swords. But other refurbishment works that have gone on in the last 12 months, you would have known Blanchardstown Library has had a major upgrade to it with the provision of additional study spaces, which, again, working with our colleagues in TU Dublin, we recognise the need for that space. Students can also connect directly to the university network from our library. So we're always trying to collaborate and work smarter and look at interventions that help our community, both our business community and our population living in the county. So specifically in terms of stimulus measures that the county has run and that our department have run over the last 12 months. These are not central government funded, these are directly funded by Fingal local authority. So we provided parklets throughout the county with 39 locations. We'll see some in the Dublin 15 area. They're probably more prevalent in other parts of the county, but we did reach out, had a large call, working again with our local councillors and pushing out the message and see where we could help, particularly our hospitality sector, as they have been very severely affected with restrictions, and particularly when you could only dine outdoors. But it's more than that. It's not just a reaction. We want to create an atmosphere in our towns and villages that are conducive to outdoor dining all year round. We're starting to get used to it and to live with that. So where parklets weren't appropriate, we looked at cafe barriers and parasols and just trying to help businesses make the most of the space that they have. In tandem with that, we ran the outdoor dining scheme on behalf of Fáilte Ireland, where 143 businesses benefited from just under $500,000 in direct support. Again, that money was directly for the provision of outdoor furniture, parasols, barriers, seats, tables, that sort of thing. And then we had a shopfront improvement scheme. Didn't have a huge take up. We had it over the last 2 years, where it's the paint and improvement scheme for businesses that are located on a main street of a town or a village. So you don't have to be a shop, you don't have to be a hospitality business. You can be the solicitors, you can be the accountants. But if you feel that your business needs a bit of an uplift, we'll be running the scheme again in 2022, and it'll allow a contribution towards those upgrade works. feel that that's something that you want or be interested in, you can contact our office, and the scheme will be advertised again next year. As I've mentioned, the Shop Fingal and Look for Local are hugely, hugely important to the sustainability of our businesses in the county. In conjunction with the Local Enterprise Office, which sits under my directorate, we have had a very intensive campaign with local businesses and artisan traders. A big push on Shop Fingal, as you said, the signs are everywhere, again, all over our social media. Look for Local is the national campaign coming from the Department of Enterprise, Trade and Employment, but we have it tailored for a Fingal specific message. And you will see, again, print in the local papers and an awful lot of digital promotion around this. Hugely, hugely important and well received by the small business community. Just to speak to what the Local Enterprise Office can offer your businesses, they have a myriad of supports available. So the Enterprise Office deals with small micro enterprises, really up to 10 employees. So it really is on the small, even less than medium-sized businesses. The biggest area we saw growth in the last 12 months, unsurprisingly, is the shift to online. And we would have offered a trading online voucher scheme. And you can see the numbers there. Very small uptake in 2019 and absolutely exponential growth in 2020 to 755 businesses. So those vouchers allowed, they're a contribution towards moving your business into an e-commerce platform. So essentially converting your current website to allow a customer to buy directly from you online. Now, obviously there's balance to had between online trading and footfall in our towns and villages, and we're very mindful of that space. But I think the successful businesses are those that have a street presence and offer online to their customers that might be housebound or not able to shop in the way they would have in the past. The Leo supports, again, we offer a myriad of supports. We have business mentoring. So if you're a small business and you're looking at changing direction or importing or going into export into the British market, we've mentors in tax, accountancy, you name it, we have a panel there. So I would suggest and encourage you to reach out to our Leo office, and the contact details are there if that's something that's of interest to you. Again, we run a huge training program from start your own business to using Instagram to your best advantage. Brexit and customs issues, there's a myriad of supports there. Again, they're all available on our webpage there. One of the most important elements of the Leo office is networking opportunities, particularly if you're a very small business, getting to know other players in that space, or even support just from like-minded individuals. So there's a number of networking opportunities there, and in particular the Female Enterprising Women, Fingal Enterprising Women's Network is a great resource for female entrepreneurs in the county, and it's something that's been very, very well attended. It has moved online this year, but we hope to get back to in-person events again in the coming months. Obviously, the Leo office offer grants and loans. So we have, specific grants around business priming, expansion, and start your own business. There's a myriad of supports there. And then we offer loans through Microfinance Ireland. We are the partner and the official agent for Microfinance Ireland in Fingal. Again, if you're interested in any of those supports, contact the Leo office directly and they'll set you up with a one-to-one mentor to have a chat through what's the best option for your small business. And just, I suppose, in the broader sense of economic development, there's a number of things that the county are involved in. We are one of 8 local authorities in the Dublin-Belfast Economic Corridor. So that runs from Dublin City up, I suppose, around the M50, right up the spine of the M1 into Belfast City. Fingal are the lead local authority on this, so we are the secretariat to the Economic Corridor. So it's a really, really important network of local authorities. We had our inaugural meeting of our elected members only last week, and we were fortunate enough to be able to have it in person. So each local authority has nominated 3 members to the oversight board, and our own mayor, Mayor Shauna O'Ruddick, has been elected as the deputy chair of the corridor for the next 12 months. So the corridor really, as I said, is a network of the local authorities. We'll be drawing on the expertise of the business community, looking at where there are clusters that are working, looking at where we can collaborate. For example, which is a huge sector across the corridor, as is fintech and biofarm. So looking at where there are opportunities to collaborate and learn from each other, to cluster businesses, because we have found, and AnnMarie would have spoken to it, that along the M50 belt and along the M1, businesses naturally gravitate to those spaces. So if we can help those businesses to locate in areas that, you know, there's a culture of creativity and entrepreneurship and working together, that's what the corridor is about. It's about making those connections and working together. The corridor is the lead economic driver for the country. You know, it's bookended by 2 international airports. We have ports. We have everything that the country needs all in that corridor. So we're very fortunate to be involved in it. And it's really only, I suppose, starting to take off. We are supported through the Shared Island Unit in the Department of the Taoiseach, so it's bought into at a government level, again, in the Northern Ireland Executive, bought into by the Minister for Finance there as well. So there's huge desire and drive for the corridor to be a success. Another area that we're charged with through the Climate Action Programme is working with the business community to help make business become more sustainable. So it's really about helping a small business to reduce its carbon footprint, be that through reducing your energy bills and working with you. So we have a Sustainable Fingal guide. I would encourage you to look at our website there again. It's supporting the circular economy. We ran a competition earlier on this year for a sustainable business, and the prize being to get a sustainability audit and for a company to come in and work with you. We'd hope to run something like that again. And a successful company where they happen to be a farming company out in Rush who grow cucumbers, are the largest suppliers of cucumbers in the country. It was not about their sustainable farming that they won the prize for. It was about how they manage their business, so how they harvest water, how they keep their energy footprint to an absolute minimum. And I suppose maybe the final thing I really want to talk about is the Fingal Skills Strategy. We published that strategy in 2018. It is the only one in Ireland that has been published by a local authority. What it sought to do was look at where our strengths and our weaknesses are as a county. We have a highly skilled workforce. We have a very high level of third level attainment, but yet there are gaps in what employers need. So it's just looking to see where those gaps are and where the opportunities are to grow from that. So last year, we set up an implementation group, and it's very ably chaired by Siobhan Kinsella. Many of you, if you're chamber members, will know Siobhan well. So that now is focusing on industry-specific issues, working with partners across various industries, from logistics to farming to tech, plugging them in with supports in either the further education sector or through the university sectors. We have a wealth of education in the county as well, and just looking and putting those people together so that they can see, okay, TU Dublin offer a course in electronic engineering specific to my business needs that I didn't know about, and they're adaptable and they can offer it after hours. So it's just, you know, making those connections and helping businesses work together. And some of the issues are around transport, some of them are around, you know, bus links and things like that. So where we can, we might run schemes to help, but it's really about putting the various players in contact with the relevant support agencies. And you'd be surprised at how much is out there and how little people realise is there and is available, readily available for your business to access. So again, I would suggest, if you're interested in that whole skills implementation piece, if you contact us directly in the council, we'd be more than happy to link you in with Siobhan's group and see if it's a worthwhile conversation to start. And that's the end of me talking. I hope I haven't gone on too much, and I apologise again for the technical errors that we were having.
A really comprehensive review of Fingal's activities in your area of responsibility. It's amazing how much, you know, ground that Fingal do actually cover to impact positively the lives of all of the people who live here. But if I could just, we have a couple of questions in here now, and I'm also conscious of time-wise, and I'm conscious of the fact we're late starting. But there's one here about the, is there any plan in relation to refurbishing the old Porterstown National School? Is that, and I know that Fingal would have a plethora of heritage properties.
If it's the same building as I'm thinking of, it's privately owned. I know there's ongoing planning engagement in relation to it. So I think it'll be part of a planning application that saves that building, hopefully sooner rather than later. Yeah,
okay, thanks, AnnMarie. And this one here is probably relevant to you, Emer, in relation to, well, I think it is anyway, it's in relation to the greenways and allowance being made for putting sort of concessions or casual trading pitches for things like, coffee vans and so on the greenways. Is there a plan to issue more casual trading licenses? Well, I know there are quite a few. There's hardly a horse box available in the country.
Well, I suppose, it's my colleague Mary Daly in operations who looks after the casual trading bylaws, and it's a statutory process that you have to go through to assign areas. So the review that took place this year was the first review in a long time, so it recognised, I suppose, the need for additional spaces. I would say in relation to the greenways, because they're not fully developed as yet, it might be, there may be a further review in time. But speaking to AnnMarie's point earlier on, where it is hugely important that we don't displace businesses that are located and paying rates in our towns and villages as well. So there's a balance to be had. I know there's nothing nicer than enjoying a coffee when you're walking along a beach or a greenway or whatever it might be. But again, it wouldn't be appropriate for there to be one every 200 meters along such a place. But as I said, the bylaws have been adopted, so the areas are set out now. It's not a matter of somebody just applying and changing it. The whole bylaw has to be changed to put new areas in. If you don't mind, Anthony, I just want to come in as well. I forgot to mention when I was talking about the Liffey Valley Trail, Senator Emer Curry again was instrumental in that, the development of the Liffey Valley Tourism Trail along with the councillors. So just to recognise that as well. That's, apologies, I'm a bit flustered, haven't had my technical difficulties. So just I want to go on record as acknowledging that. Thank you.
No problem. One of the other questions that's in is probably it's in relation to Dublin Enterprise Zone, and it's what percentage of the land, there's quite an amount of land there, and what percentage of the land remains to be developed, and are there any other projects in the pipeline up there? There's quite a bit up there as we speak in the Enterprise Zone, but there's still quite a bit of land. Are there plans for additional projects in the pipeline?
I don't have the scientific evidence in front of me, but we have carried out a capacity analysis as part of our new development plan. So in rough terms, it's probably about 50–60% developed. So there is quite a lot of space remaining there. There are still a few planning permissions yet to be activated, but generally what we find in the enterprise zone is as soon as planning is secured, get on site and get building. So it's a very active place. But there, we have looked at that through the development plan, and we'll be publishing that shortly.
Okay. And I suppose finally then we've got one about Shackleton's Mills.
Leave that with Emer.
The question really is about the sort of the long-term plan, and I know it's a very, very difficult site. So what is the sort of long-term plan there?
Yeah, I suppose you referenced it is a difficult site given its location directly onto the road on a bend and the whole lot. We own it. So at the moment we're looking at a conservation management plan for it, which will the structure. We would have had funding in the past through the Dangerous Structures Fund, which Auntie took very kindly Antonished now had pointed us in the direction of at the time to try and protect some of the roof. So we got funding for that. So, it's a really, really important piece of our industrial heritage. How we can bring it into the public's use is a difficult issue. It's tied up, I suppose, with the whole Liffey Valley and our Blueway development, Greenway development, access in through the Phoenix Park and through Farrelly, and there's a whole myriad of things tied together. So I think for the moment, the best we can do with it is to conserve it and preserve it and make sure it doesn't fall into further disrepair, and that's what we're committed to doing. But we have numerous studies over the last number of years into its tourism potential. There is certainly potential to it, but the infrastructural redesign that would be required is not to be discounted. You know, it's significant what would need to happen in the area to make it an accessible space.
Okay, thanks, Emer. There's a couple of questions in here now. Are there any other plans to coordinate the laying of utilities and road infrastructure, Snugburgh Road and Ballycoolan? And I know it's a really big project, this one. But is there any other?
Yeah, I suppose there's a number of huge projects happening over there at the moment. There's the Snugburgh interchange upgrade. That's a 30 million euro project. There's the Ballycoolan water main. And you know, a lot of Irish water works in that area, and then there's the utilities who are constantly demanding road opening licenses. There is a coordination, would you believe, and certainly the Snugburgh interchange would bring good benefits insofar as it'll have ducting provided for all utilities. You know, so that will be a significant help in the future. But just right now, I appreciate there's a level of disruption that's probably quite difficult in the area. But we'll be moving ahead at pace to try and get that, I suppose, delivered or finished, those jobs finished, and certainly Irish Water are close to that point. And the Snugburgh, I suppose, is a little bit earlier on in its life cycle. But there is a coordination. It's a challenging, you know, it's a very congested space in Fingal as new businesses locate and new services to be delivered. So appreciate the disruption can be quite difficult, but where it can be, it is coordinated, and that new infrastructure definitely helps because it does does future-proof the area in terms of any future demands from utilities.
And there's a thanks, AnnMarie. There's a question as well came in, but I'd say it's probably a national infrastructure. The transport people, is any plans for the Lewis line going to Dublin 15?
Yeah, something we'd love to see. I mean, I think the National Sports Campus deserves dedicated public transport. So we'd both be on the same page with that. I think we'd be looking to influence that as soon as we can. But I suppose the slowness in delivering the rail projects, I suppose, is frustrating for all of us.
Yeah, and probably finally then we have a question here from somebody about continuing direct engagement with Dublin 15 businesses. What are the plans for the continuing direct engagement with Dublin 15 businesses? And I suppose a direct engagement, this is actually probably as good a platform as people are going to get. I would have thought it's certainly effective. So
yeah, well, certainly we love to cooperate with yourselves, you know, with the Chamber of Commerce, trying to, I suppose, get that direct engagement with businesses. In another time outside of COVID, we'd be seeing each other a lot more through events, etc. And then, of course, we're doing a lot of webcasting in relation to our infrastructure projects and rolling those out. But interested to hear of any other new initiatives that businesses would like to see, because we'll definitely be open to that. Of course, the local enterprise offices typically would have a huge number of events in any given year. The moment they're online, but fingers crossed for 22 that we'll be moving to more live events if we can. We certainly want to.
Yeah,
and just to come in, I suppose maybe as well, like we do channel all of our messaging through Fingal Chamber as well. You know, that goes out to the business community directly. So for the likes of the shop front improvement scheme, as I mentioned, not just for shops, will go out again in 22. So we'll push that campaign out through the chamber. The Fingal In Together Charter, again, we're always looking to sign up new businesses to that and hear from businesses as to what issues you may be having on the ground. So hopefully we'll be able to kind of reactivate that. When we launched it, we had boots on the ground, as you'd say, you know, people calling to doors of businesses and talking to businesses directly. So pandemic allowing, we'd hoped again early in 2022.
Yeah, and For those on the call, if you're not a member of Fingal Chamber, you can contact us on info@fingalchamber.ie, and we're happy to liaise with both AnnMarie and Emer on issues you might have, and we could provide a conduit for that. So on that high note, we've gone over our time. Apologies again, we had a slight technical issue at the start, that sort of delayed us somewhat, but I want to thank very sincerely Chief Executive AnnMarie and Emer O'Gorman for being with us today and giving us two very good presentations and speaking openly and honestly and answering the questions that businesses locally in this area have had. I want to thank for this audience Andrea Malloy, who's just finishing up her term as President of Fingal Chamber. She's done a terrific job, but I think we only had one event that we actually got you out into the open air to meet people, Andrea, but through no fault of anybody's. But Andrea has been a great president and has portrayed the chamber in a very, very positive light over the course of the last year. So thanks again. I want to thank my own team, David in particular, David Brannigan is here, and the social and digital media guys, and the rest of the team who are beavering away in the background. And so on that, I want to thank all of the people who signed in here today. So thank you very much to everybody for attending, and slán go fóill.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.